Recording now, and let me share my screen again and bring it back up. All right, here we go. It was the summer of 23. Okay, that was a bad Bryan Adams impression, but talking, and I think Stuart's on this call. Stuart Canzeri and I were spending a lot of time talking about AI, what do we need to be doing, things like that. But we both kind of came to this realization that this is a big deal. This is not just a fad or something that's going to come through. It is going to, anyone that's in any type of thought, information type business, which is what we are, right? We use this. We don't use our, we're not making things with our hands, but we're using our heads every day. Anyone's in that business either embraces this or you're going to get left behind. And we realize that. So created this AI advisor tool, started doing a lot of videos, kind of started like teaching people. And what I realized at the time, and this was into the end of 24, beginning of 25, excuse me, end of 23 and the beginning of 24, there's lots of tools, things are happening, things are popping out, lots of noise, lots of stuff around it. Like people are saying, oh man, in 2 years, you're not even, this is going to take your job and do all this and that and blah, blah, blah. And all these things are happening. Well, I kind of came to this realization that that's not going to happen because right now we don't have first of all, we just don't have the power grid, or we don't have the infrastructure even, and the technology is really not there. What AI is right now, these large language models, they're still assistants. They just assist us in things. They assist us in organizing data. They assist us in, like this call's being recorded by, a Zox assistant that's going to assist us right in, taking that data and summarizing it and putting the thing. So when we think of AI right now, it's just assisting us in doing the things that we do. However, it hasn't reached this point where you're going to start hearing, I think, over the next couple of years about this, where it becomes an agent, where you're going to be able to say to AI, listen, I'm traveling up to Massachusetts next week to visit Merrimack Financial. Book me a hotel here. I need reservations at this restaurant on Thursday night. I don't know where I want to eat Wednesday night. Find me a good place, book a reservation, do this, do this, do this, do this, do that. You're going to, and it's going to just do it for you. And it's going to get to know you, and it's going to remember you and remember all your things and do that. Same thing in our business, right? You're going to be able to say, hey, I'm meeting with the Andersons next week. Okay. Go in Ignite, find their last meeting, find my notes, create a PowerPoint. I want to focus on this week and do this and do this and do that. And it's going to be there, and you're just going to be able to take that and go. I think back then people were saying, oh, we're just a year or two out from that. I think we're many years out from that personally, because we don't have the grid to power it. We don't have the grid. We barely have the grid to power it, just assisting us right now when you think about the calculations. But it's just like Moore's law when it comes to technology, right? As things get better, it requires less power, it requires less things. So there's a lot going into this. Point is, I don't want to talk too much about this but the point I'm trying to make is, if you're not embracing AI, you need to start embracing it. It is coming, it's here, and it's going to change everything. Okay. So as I kind of in 25 here, I took a break off in 24, didn't really do much like in terms of presentations or things like that. But this year I've really been engaging it more, but on a much different level. Okay. And, most of us use AI like as a note taker or a quick transactional request, or we do internet searching with it, or we say, here, take this data, summarize it for me. Here, take this thing, give me the points on this. It's just quick input, quick output, quick input, quick output. And it does save us some time, there's no doubt. And the purpose of this presentation is I want to share with you, I'm going to share 3 use cases on how you can utilize AI to really become more of a thought partner for you. And this kind of was a little bit revolutionary for me in doing it, because really what I was using AI for was 80% of the tasks that I do that only drive 20% of my results, right? And what I'm kind of realizing more is there's 20% of my priorities that really can drive the majority of my success. So how do I have AI help me do this, right? And it's kind of like, instead of asking AI, well, how can I do this? Or here, what do I need to do here? Or what do I need to do there? Or here, do this or summarize this. I'm spending more time asking it, help me do this. Like, help me be my thought partner, partner with me, right? I'm Brian Boughner. I know what I know, but there's still so much that I don't know, and I can get so locked into my world. So be that assistant, and you're going to help me get out of my head and really be a lot more impactful from what I'm doing. So I think there's really 5 strategic uses right now. There's strategic thinking and planning. And, you know, as I come and do these visits with these advisors, we talk a lot of strategy and a lot of strategic thinking, right? Because as advisors, we come in every day, we do our jobs, we got our heads down, we're meeting with clients, we're trying to get new clients, we're just wash, rinse, repeat over and over again. And that's tactical work, which is important. You got to do it, right? I mean, you don't pay the bills and you don't do the things you need to unless you do it. But what happens a lot of times is we start going down a path, and is this the right way? Am I missing something? Is there something more efficient or more effective that I could be doing? This is where strategic thinking and planning comes in. Decision making. A lot of times we got to make very important decisions, and we think we know the answers, but you know, using AI to help us with that. Of course, content creation, idea generation, and analysis. What I've discovered with AI is that what you put into it is exactly what you're going to get out of it. Okay. I meant to do a poll, but I didn't actually do it. And I can't see your faces right now, but how many of you use the free version and how many of you use the paid version of AI? And unfortunately, I don't even know where to see where you all are at. Let's see if this does anything. Nope, that does not do anything. All right. Anyway, I can't see you guys right now, so I'm just going to have to trust you. But what you put into it is what you'll get out of it. And I'm telling you right now that if you're just using the free version, you're not getting like an incrementally less interaction with AI. You're getting a very big drop in how AI can help you. Whether you're with ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. Paying, it's $20 a month. Okay, that's $240 a year to get a much better experience with AI. So I would encourage you, if you're going to pick this up and say, I want to spend more time here, pay for it. Pay the $20 a month. Okay, your Netflix bill is probably about the same. So the framework for what we put into it, and I think this is important, is what we call CRIT. First, you got to give it context, and you'll see in my examples here how I do this. Background info about what this issue is, why it's important. You have to tell AI what you want it to be. So you give them the background information. Here's the problem I'm trying to solve. Here's what I'm trying to do. Here's what I'm thinking about. I need you to be this, right? And what is that? I need you to challenge me. I need you to be a, creator. And you'll see in some of my examples here. Then the other thing, and this is where it really becomes your thought partner, you ask it to interview you. Interview me. Ask me questions one at a time to gain further clarity. And you'll see some examples here. And then you specify the task. Please create this. Please do this. Please, something along those lines. And it's weird. I always say the word please when I'm dealing with AI. We have the big 3 that I just mentioned: ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. Probably the next level down from there, there's the XAI, or used to be called Grok. Meta's got one, the Facebook one as well. But we're going to be just focusing on these 3 today. All right, so the 3 use cases: we're going to create an email campaign, we're going to do some strategic planning, and then we're going to do a client questionnaire. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with the email campaign. And let's see here. Let me see if I have it in here. I think this is it. Yeah, the prompts. Oh, it's not it. All right, here we go. That's not it either. Here it is. All right. So here's my prompt. Can y'all see my screen here? Yes. All right. So as you know, the Commonwealth advisors have been bought out by LPL. So I want to do a campaign to reach out. I was able to get a list of all their email addresses, and of course everyone and their mother's emailing them right now. So I'm trying to think of something, right? And so for the next about 10 minutes here, I'm going to be doing a lot of reading. So just try to stay along with me if you can, just to kind of get an idea of what we're doing here. So in this case, I said, look, your task, I run an article that discusses the benefits of dropping your Series 7 for a Commonwealth advisor who's, since they announced a buyout. Context, and this is so important. Commonwealth advisors are not happy at all with the LPL buyout. They love the culture, uniqueness. They feel betrayed. They want to explore the RIA route. I represent Fiduciary Alliance. We're trying to recruit some of these advisors to join our network. We only work with advisors who are in growth mode and looking to scale their practice. Your role, right? I'm gonna tell AI what you are. You are an amazing thought leader and a content creator who helps identify pain points to create an emotional connection and provides a simple solution with a clear call to action. Here are what your requirements are. Please keep this article brief, to the point. Organize it so it's easy to read and digest. Most advisors will not read the entire article, so the most important items need to be prioritized. Your limits, I want to have a clear call to action to contact Fiduciary Alliance. I don't want it to come across salesy or pushy. We want to attract advisors, not sell them, and why this is important. Our industry is changing by the minute. Independent RIA route, blah, 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 blah. And then here's the other part. Interview me. Ask me questions you need and interview me to get all the information to make this successful. Please only ask one question at a time. And this is important. Only ask one question at a time because it'll start bombarding you with stuff. All right, so let's see all right, so here it is. I went to Claude. I put all this in. Let's see what it says. I'd be happy to help you create a compelling article. Okay. Let me start by understanding your unique value proposition better. What specific services, support does Fiduciary Alliance provide? Blah, blah, blah. I said, it kind of gave me some examples. I said, we provide all those things. Thanks for that overview. Now let me dig deeper into what makes you different from other options, right? What's the most significant advantage or unique differentiator? I talk about our freedom and flexibility and our network of advisors. That's helpful. Now let me understand the practical concerns these advisors are facing. We talk about the hybrid solution. We talk about, this is my answer here to, some of the unique things about dropping their 7. My point is, all right, I could just go back and forth, right? But I'm interacting with AI almost like I'm having a conversation with a person, right? And it's just clarifying and it's getting it better. So it came out and it gave me, and this is one of the reasons why I like Claude. It kind of shows you, it kind of gave me, here's my first pass at the article. All right. And I said, let's amend the part on transactional business. And I gave it some things and it said, great. And then it gave me a different part. And then I said, okay. And I said, after this, let's say something along these lines. And after this, and now I'm just trying to break this down and let it be, more along the lines of what I want. And, again, when I talked about that call to action, your next step, if you're ready to explore what true independence looks like without the sales pitch, let's have a conversation, FA, blah, 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 contact us. And so that was it. So I used all this, and now I've got a really good, email type thing that I can send out to folks. I went over to Gemini. I did the same thing. Sometimes, because I have subscription to all these things, and I'll go and I'll do a number of them just to see what they come up with. And without going through all of this, I really liked the Claude one better. All right, so that's just coming up with a simple email. But again, the thing I want to really emphasize here, and you'll see as we kind of go through this, is, you have to have a format on how you interact with this to get really good output, all right? And you have to spend some time telling it what you really, really need. It's not a mind reader. But if you give it stuff and then you ask it to interview you, you'll be amazed at what it comes back to you with, and it'll help you start thinking about some of this stuff. All right, any questions so far? I'm going to now go to the next article here, or the next thing, which, strategic planning. So if anyone has anything, just please unmute your line and pop in. So in this case, I just said, look, I'm in the process of refining my strategic plan, right? I've used a template, organized into one page, my firm, Parallel Financial. I need to flesh this plan out with some action items. Our website's parallelfinancial.com. We are small, RIA, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just giving it background. I'm giving it context here, right? I need you to interview me by asking me one question at a time to help me refine this plan, but identify the action items I'm missing. I also need you to challenge this plan to see if there's any gaps or holes missing. Please help me refine this plan, help me create an action plan. So this is the plan that I'm talking about here, which, many of you have seen, we've talked about. I've created this for Parallel and have also sent this out to everyone here at Fiduciary. And the idea is to create one for yourself and for your firm, right? Your purpose, your values, your vision, your, put some numbers in here about what you're trying to hit. Also put your sandbox winning moves, and then SWOT analysis here. I don't know what I just did. There we go. Let me bring it back out. Yeah, SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, trends. So it's everything on one page about your firm and what it. So I just took this and I uploaded it into here, right? And it came right back. It said, great. I can see your one-page plan structure. You have a solid foundation with your core purpose, values, targets. Let's start with your core purpose, right? My first question is this. When you think about your ideal client, whether it's a small business owner, someone in retirement, professional, what does living the life they want actually look like in concrete terms, right? So now it's saying, look, I want to help you take this plan and create some action items that you need to be doing. So let's help, clarify some things. And, so I answered it. And so now we're having this conversation and we're going back and forth about, I said, let's just focus on business owner clients right now, right? So it's saying, okay, for small business owners, like what's the number one pain point you hear most often, right? And I say, well, they pay a lot of taxes. Their benefits costs for their firm are enormous. They've usually yet to diversify out of their business and all their wealth's wrapped up in it. And I said, one day, they plan on selling their business. How can they ensure they're maximizing enterprise value? And they need to scale better so they can get some of their time back. Excellent. So then let's look at these main 5 points here. Which one would you systematic solution for? And then we're just kind of like, I said, let's focus on taxes for now and tax optimization. And so it's kind of, it's taken me through this thing to basically recommend, and I'm not going to go through this just for sake of time, but it's, and then we talked about referrals and the KPIs we're tracking and things like that. But the point is, it's helping me create a action item out of this, right? And I'm just sitting here interacting with it on the computer here. All right, final example here I'll use today. Let's see here. I need to move this thing. There we go. So you guys can see this or not. All right. All right, let's start with ChatGPT. Oh, that is not it. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. So, actually, I'll read it from here. It's a little better, I think. Here we go. We talk about our ideal client. And a lot of times when we talk about our ideal client, we really just focus on about 2 or 3 things. Where are they at in life, right? Are they a business owner? Are they a retiree? Are they a, professional, whatever it is, okay? How much money do they have? How much money they make? And we kind of stop right there, right? Because if they're, well, right, they're a business owner and man, they're wealthy and they're this and that. Well, shoot, hell yeah, I want them as a client. Let's get them in here. And that's a great place to start. I'm not saying that's not bad. But what happens a lot of times is we get somebody in like that and we recognize, oh crap, this person's a pain in the butt, right? They're needy, they're this, they're that, they don't understand risk, all these other things. And so, we have a great client financially, but we have a horrible client relationally. And they suck our time and they take so much time out of us and just energy and all those other things. So I'm trying to think, like, is there a way that we can maybe screen some of these folks on the front end just to see if their values align with us? So this is what I'm asking. I'm giving it context around that, right? And I said, look, if I were to sum it up, there'd be 5 factors that I would want to work with a client. That they have a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset, that they value good advice and they're willing to pay for it, that time is their most valuable asset. And money is we're just using the money to create more time so they can do the things they want to do. They understand that, right? They understand the meaning of risk and they're willing to take risk. And they have a great network of like-minded people that they can introduce me to. Because, right, when I get my ideal client in, I want to just repeat that over and over and over again, right? I think we could all raise our hand and agree with that, all right? So I gave it, I mean, you can see all the context, and I spent some time kind of, writing this out, spending some time. I said, you're a behavioral expert and you're masterful at designing surveys that capture how people are wired, right? And I said, of course, interview me, right? Ask me questions one at a time to gain the clarity you need. And then the task is, I'm like, in the spirit of like a DISC profile or Enneagram or Myers-Briggs or Kolbe, I say, can you create for me a questionnaire that I can give to a prospect or a client and see how they score based on these factors? I'd like something around 20 to 30 questions that could hopefully be scored to determine how they factor on these 5 things. And, and I'll get to this reverse course questions here in a minute. So anyway, I just said, can you do this for me, please? All right. So it said, great. I'd love to help you build a meaningful and behavioral questionnaire. Let's start with the first one. So immediately it just jumped in and it said, let's start with growth versus, right? And then it started asking, like, when you think about clients, what are the statements, behaviors, what are that? So it's asking me like, all right, let's flesh out what growth mindset means, which I did. Perfect. Excellent foundation. Then it said here, rate how strongly you agree with each statement. Okay. And, so this is kind of, where we're going. So let's move on to trait 2. Couple clarifying questions, right? Trait 2 was about, shoot, I don't remember. What was trait 2? It was, good advice and willing to pay for it. So I can take you through all of this, but it's going through these and it's helping me create this, right? Now, so now we have a 30 questionnaire with 6 questions per trait. And I came back and I was like, you know what? I said, it was a little too, it's like they wanted to use this, whatever they call it, the Likert scale, where like, so you'll get 5 statements and you just say if you strongly agree or you agree or you don't strongly agree or whatever. And I finally was like, this is just too obvious. Like, it's just like anyone taking this survey is going to be like, oh, well then, yeah, I agree with these things. And so I don't know, I flipped this over to Claude or another one. And I just said, let's just see what we come up with here. Right. Same thing. This is the same thing I used in ChatGPT. And again, I'm talking to obviously a computer here, but for some reason the computer responds and is like, I love this concept. Creating a value-based client screening tool is brilliant for building sustainable advisor relationships. But I need to understand a few nuances, right? Let me start with the scoring mechanics. Like, what do is it 8 of 10? So it's not even diving in. Like it came back as like, well, let's take a step back here. And like, what are you thinking here? And how do you want to do this? And I was like, well, yeah, I want like an overall score, but then I also want a score for each section and this and that and whatever. So then, and then I said like, because they love these Likert scales. And I said, if there's something different you recommend, I'd like to consider that. Great. Dual scoring makes perfect sense. And then he's like, we can rate things. We can, then he said, how about let's do this? Like, let's give them 2 responses. So they'll say, when making important decisions, I prefer to either do this or do that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. Right. It's much better. It's called the forced choice approach. And it's not as obvious when someone's filling it out. So we go back and forth and back and forth. Anyway, the point is, I now have a 25 question questionnaire that I can hand a potential client. I can hand a potential advisor, say this is just part of our onboarding process or, part of our discovery process. And now I can see how their mind's going on. You would have to go to a firm in the past and pay a crap load of money if you wanted something like this. And there were actually client DNA in these firms out there that help you do that. Me interacting with AI over about a 30-minute period, I'm able to come up with one for myself. So, all right, we're at 10 o'clock now. I know I got into the weeds a lot there, but I'm just trying to show you how this can really help you. And And these may not be examples that you would like just, oh, I'm going to go use that example tomorrow. And that's not my point of this. My point of this is that you start leveraging AI. Now, here's some pushback I might get. Some of you might say, uh, well, Brian, I don't know if I really need, with what I'm doing right now, I don't know if I really need it. And I'd say that's fine. For your everyday tasks that you're doing today, right now on June 17th, 2025, you probably don't. But I guarantee you, as we start to move, as time moves forward, this will become more and more and more a part of your daily lives. And if you don't start just engaging with it and becoming familiar with it and interacting with it and getting to know, I know this is going to sound creepy, but getting to know your AI LLM better, like, almost like a person. It's a relationship, right? But if you don't start, then the folks that are doing it, there will be a point here where you're going to start to see paths diverge, I believe, and people that haven't embraced this are just kind of going to be going the wrong way, and people that have are going to be exponentially getting better. So, what are the action items that I want to leave you with? Are next steps. And I got to share my screen one more time. What's going on here? Did it share?
No.
No? Jesus. Well, for some reason, Teams has decided to kind of freeze up on me. But I would say out of the three, here's your next steps. I have a slide on this. I'll just tell you. Decide on one of the three LLMs you want to use. If it's ChatGPT, great. If it's Claude, great. If it's Gemini, if you're a big Google user, then use Gemini. Just decide on one and just start using it. Get the pay the $20 a month, start using it. Use it your strategic time, use it to problem solve, use that CRIP model that I gave you, right? Context, role, interview, and then task. Just get to know your AI better, but pick one, get to know it, and start doing more meaningful things with AI instead of the transactional stuff like, here, just take and do this, boom, done. Here, da 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 da, done. All right, so I'll stop there. Questions, thoughts, comments.
Brian, which one do you like out of all these different AIs? I mean, do some do things better than others?
It's interesting. All right, I think I got my thing working here and I'm sharing it now. All right, sweet. So it's interesting you say that. This is not what I wanted. Ted, and that was Ted, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. So there is a great AI tool called Perplexity, which I will just make a plug for this. If you're doing Google searches right now, just stop doing it and start using Perplexity. And I'll probably do a video on that just to show you how to use it, because in my opinion, it's fantastic. But I asked Perplexity, I just said, hey, what are the main differences between ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini? Can you give examples? So it went through each, gave me strengths, weaknesses, and then of course it's got the table at the end, and this year. What I would say is, use ChatGPT. In my opinion, it has the best customization. Because you can create these custom GPTs. You can actually create a lot. Like, let's say there's something you're doing over and over and over again. I'll show you some of the GPTs that I've created. So, there was a period where I had a YouTube channel called Grow Wealth Simply. You're more than welcome to look it up on YouTube, and you'll see some amazing videos on there that'll change your life. But so I fed a lot into ChatGPT, and I said, look, I'm trying to do education. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. Can you help me create some of these things? And I fed it, and it'll just save it. So anytime I want to do something along those lines, I can just come back here. It's already got it built out. We actually built a chief compliance resource, or a compliance resource officer for Fiduciary Alliance, where I took our entire policy and procedures manual and I uploaded it in here. And I said, you know, I can come in here and say, can I donate $500 to a local political campaign? And what it's doing is it's going through our entire policy and procedures manual right now. And it's saying, yes, you can under specific conditions, right? Up to 30. And it's just pulling this right out of the manual and telling me what I can and can't do. So you can even upload like data into something like that and then just come back and use it. So if you want to customize stuff, I would say ChatGPT is definitely the way to go. I do feel though that, in my opinion, I like Claude's interaction better. I like their output better. I find myself going here more often to do stuff that maybe doesn't require a custom type thing like this that I've done. I mean, I even created one on Parallel's perfect client in here that, you know, I could now create content like who's the perfect person. And I describe all these things in here so that when I create content now, this is going back to ChatGPT, it'll do it. So customize. I do like Claude's better. I've tried a lot of stuff with Gemini. Just me personally, it's not really doing much for me. I'll probably drop my subscription with them and just use ChatGPT and Claude. I know it's a long answer, but I do think it's kind of important here. Any other questions around that?
Are you using the free version of ChatGPT or you're using the paid version also?
Yeah. So as I said earlier, do not use I think the free version is just not worth it. You cannot create custom GPTs in the free version. It's $20 a month. You get an exponentially just so much better output than you do using the free version, in my opinion. So pay the $20 a month. Any other questions?
Brian,
All right.
I
Yep.
want to chime in on this. One of the things that I've come across, like super valuable insight for the last 30 minutes, man. I think that that's something that everybody needs to see and understand. When you're running two different devices, and if you have the paid subscriptions, you can put it in voice mode. And
Yep.
I've had a three-way conversation with ChatGPT and Grok and ChatGPT. Man, I guess those are the main two I've done it with. It is wild to watch them ask each other questions to help you wrap your head around concepts or ideas. And I mean, it's kind of scary to think about all at the same time, but this is 100% where everything is going, in my opinion. And like we have to utilize and push ourselves to utilize, because when something's new, everybody's on a level playing field. And you mentioned something earlier that I hope resounds with everybody. Like there will be people that adopt and there'll be people that don't, and there will eventually no longer be a level playing field. And we're in a period of time where every single person has that choice, and you need to be willing to live with the answer to your choice. And we're in a position where it can't be, we're just, we're good where we currently are, because more than likely the world will change dramatically.
Thank you, Steve. Any other thoughts, questions, comments?
And if you're going to use the paid version of ChatGPT, are you just talking like Copilot, or is there a specific version of ChatGPT?
Well, Copilot is like Microsoft took ChatGPT's language model and has infused it within their things, their 365. Gemini has kind of done the same thing, right? Because it's a Google product. And so like when you use Google Docs and things like that. In my opinion, I just think Copilot, I had Copilot for a while and canceled it. First of all, Copilot's $30 a month. And the output was horrible, awful. You do have a free version that's in your, if you use Microsoft Edge, which everyone at Fiduciary uses Edge. because we're all on 365. I would recommend using Edge, and at least having Copilot in there can help you with a few things, like just little stuff there. But no, not on a meaningful level. Matter of fact, it's interesting. I asked in preparing for this call, for this presentation, I fed a bunch of stuff into Gemini, and I said, hey, can you just create some Google slides for me based on this? And it was like, no, I can't actually. I mean, it's like, I can give you the content, but I can't actually create the slides for you. And I was shocked, quite honestly. I was like, how does that not happen? It just seemed really weird. I think I would have had to maybe been in Google's. I don't know. It just seemed really weird. But I would not use I mean, again, the three that I mentioned, I think, are probably the way to go, and pay the $20 a month. All right. Anyone else? Sweet. All right. I'll go ahead. We're going to do, let me hit stop recording. Excellent.